called the Avengers Initiative.
I thought I didn't qualify. Apparently I'm, what is it, volatile, self-obsessed, and don't play well with others. I think they need a timeout.
Leon, I want to thank you, man.
What'd I do?
I want to thank you so much.
What'd I do?
Because you came out saying a few years back, man, they ain't making that Avengers movie. And Marvel heard you and they said, you know what, we weren't going to do it, but just to prove Leon wrong, we're going to go through with this.
Yeah, I think what they actually said was, fuck you, Leon.
See, this is what I was hoping was going to happen with Jason Biggs, but he never did step up.
No. Avengers came first, man. And let me tell you something, boy. This is just what I imagined, man. One big superhero WWF wrestling match. That's all I wanted because that's the way the movie was. I don't know if I had any real emotional attachment to anything in the movie. All I know is that I saw Thor kicking ass, Iron Man kicking ass, and then all of a sudden he'd be like, oh, but wait, here comes the Hulk. Oh, my God, look at him. He's stirring up everything over you, man. I was like, this is what I wanted to see. My God,
you know
this is
You're right. You needed those wrestler announcers. You need Jerry the King Lawler to get in there and do some color commentary.
Look out, Widow, he's behind you.
This movie was already in all caps, and then the Hulk was like the 6 exclamation points.
Oh, my God,
But
man.
I mean, it was probably like one of the, well, at least right now, the greatest superhero team up orgy of all fucking time.
Yes.
I mean, it really was.
It was, man.
Yeah.
It was,
Well, has there been any others?
man, you
can count X-Men, I guess.
I guess.
You know?
I guess they're different because they're already like a team, a family.
They're still a team, though.
But here you got 5, 6 separate guys who have to work together, who are not the best of friends. Who don't really...
But let's not fail to mention that the important thing here is that this has never been done before. I mean, we've had stuff on TV, kinda. I remember there was back in the '80s they had a Hulk. Thor team up.
Oh yeah,
that terrible shit. Yeah,
had Hulk team up with Thor, Hulk team up with Daredevil.
Yeah, I mean, but those look like people in cheap Halloween costumes.
And there's lots of animated stuff that is indeed really good, but it's not going to have the same impact as live action. As far as live action goes, I think Ko said right. The X-Men is the only other really big team up thing, and those are fine movies, but they ain't no Avengers. That's what's goddamn
man.
Sure.
Because the reason why this has never been done before, you've never seen this before, is because theatrically they've taken all these characters with their own separate movies. At least I think 4 or 5 of them. You didn't have a Black Widow movie or a Hawkeye movie.
Well,
but
she was in Iron Man.
She was in Iron Man, but I'm talking about as far as
right.
Iron Man, Captain America, the Hulk, and Thor had their own movies, and years later they're bringing them together to make this great superhero team up, and everybody thought, you know what? I don't know if that's a good idea, because what do we always complain about in movies? Too many characters.
Fucking characters.
Yeah,
yes.
exactly. But people, let me tell you something. Not only did it work with all these characters coming together in one movie, but if a character fucked up in one other movie, like Iron Man fucked up with Iron Man 2, well, he got it right in this one.
They were smart enough to get a guy who's used to handling large ensemble casts and complicated storylines like Joss Whedon. And he doesn't. It is a complicated storyline when you count in all the shit from the other movies, but there's just enough in this film that it kind of stands alone without even having seen those. But you know a basic idea who these characters are. You don't need to have seen all those other films.
Yeah.
And yet he pulls it off. He gives every character enough time. I mean, even fucking Hawkeye gets enough time on screen where you're like, yeah, they did right by Hawkeye.
It's funny how Hawkeye is not himself through so much of the movie, and yet when he finally comes back into it, he does get enough.
Well, yeah,
everybody gets caught up.
And that in the third reel of this film is just. You think you were enjoying it before. That's when they're like, oh, you wanted an Avengers movie. Oh, we can do that. Yeah, all right. So
And
let's watch every single character
and that's
have
where
an
the
amazing
movie,
moment every 30 seconds.
And that's where the movie shines in spades. You guys are right. I mean, they managed to take every single character, even Black Widow, because I'm watching that preview, seeing Black Widow, when that camera is rolling around, making full circle, and then you see a Black Widow pull out her little pea shooters.
Right.
I'm like, What the fuck are you gonna do with those?
Might as well have been
you're
cap pistols.
fighting otherworldly forces, and you got there. Unless your ass is gonna shoot bullets, I don't know what else. What else you can do?
All these people, because everybody was saying, well, I can understand all these other guys doing that thing, but punk ass Hawkeye, what he just got a bow and arrow. What is it? Anybody can do that. What Black Widow, bitch ass Black. But she just fights. Anybody can do that. I know karate. I can do that. But let me tell you something. All these people, all of them are mutants. Whether they got some physical ability or whether they're just crazy, insanely smart, they all have some sort of superpower, which this is why it's so great in this movie, because you're right, Cyrus. Everybody is shown why they're a member of this team.
Yeah, what they have to contribute and how, even when you're fighting giant fucking monsters from outer space, even Black Widow and Hawkeye really help a lot.
No, Black Widow can catch a light cycle going by at 200 miles per hour, and she can catch onto it without her arms being ripped out of her socket. You know, it's like superhuman. All right, if you don't ask questions, but
you can't.
One of the things that surprised me about this, everybody had the idea of what the villains were going to be in this movie, and everybody thought, because I guess Ultimate Avengers had them. I don't know comic book lore as well as you guys do,
and Spill members have been bugging the shit out of me. What are the aliens, the creatures in that army in Avengers? I'm
they've already
wait
told
and
them.
find out.
Well, they've already said it out loud, people. It's not the Skrulls. I mean, that's what everybody wanted to see. But and I myself, I read the Ultimates. I actually loved that book in at least the first two, and everybody thought that was going to be the case here. So when I after reading those books, I thought, okay, I can see them doing this story for that movie. But then they start showing Loki, and the stingers at the end of the movies, they would set him up to be the villain. I was like, I just don't see how this will work. Out of all the people, Loki's going to be who the Avengers goes against.
If you read the original Avengers, he was their first.
You're talking about from the 60s, though.
Yeah.
No, I know that.
And this is a total retake, but still true to that original series.
This ain't the 60s, goddamn.
The core idea and plot of that original Avengers couple issues is intact. They just completely updated it and made it very surprising in the way the things they did with it.
They combined that regular, Marvel universe with borrowing a lot of stuff from the Ultimates.
Yeah.
All the stuff that's good.
Especially with Hawkeye.
Hawkeye is totally.
Yeah. I mean, if you've been watching the movies, you know that at some point, I guess when they got to Thor, they found that magic cosmic Rubik cube.
The cosmic cube.
The cosmic cube.
The tesseract, as they call it.
The Rubik's Cube of the universe.
of destiny.
The Tesla cap, whatever. Yeah, and so they
really, it's easier for you to say Tesla cap than tesseract.
Yes, I refuse to say that. No, I'm not going to ever say that. But no, they find it. You saw in Thor, they found this, and then it appeared in Captain America, and apparently it's this source of energy which can open portals, and everybody wants it because it's so powerful, and that's what's going on in this movie. It's not that you really need to know.
Yeah. But it's the greatest Duracell battery of all time. That's all what you need to know.
That rabbit can't even handle that shit. No,
all we know is Thor is walking around. He's being a dick. He's taking people over. Not Thor. I'm sorry. Loki is walking around, taking people over, being a dick, and he's got some deal going on with space aliens.
Yeah, what he has.
So we know that early on.
Yeah, he's found the cube. He's going to open up a portal. He plans on taking over Earth. He knows he can't do it by himself, so he gets together with some space gangsters and says, "Hey,
pretty much,
because they say, hey, Loki, you know what?" And Tom Hiddleston does great as Loki. They tell him, Loki, look, yeah, man, we'll do this with you, but you fuck us over, man. That's your ass.
It's funny.
Loki, what do you have planned? I have to team with them. They're gonna take my thumb.
I really liked Hiddleston in Thor. I think everybody did. But here, I totally forgot about him in his role in Thor now, because I'm like, well, he will always be Loki in the Avengers, because he was one of the most fun villains in this film in recent memory.
It burns you to have come so close. To have the tesseract, to have power, unlimited power. And for what? A warm light for all mankind to share. And then to be reminded what real power is.
Well, let me know if real power wants a magazine or something.
He's just chewing up scenery and literally cracking up laughing in the middle of scenes, because I know it's the character, and yet you couldn't help but feel you were also watching that actor just have a great time.
A lot of what has made these movies work, these Marvel movies, because it's a real feat to have pulled off, so many decent to good movies leading up to this, because there was so many places to fuck up. And at Iron Man 2, I was like, they fucked it up. It's not going to work. But they pulled together with Thor and Captain America. But the actors that they get aren't just here going like, it's just comic books. What do I have to do? Right. These are good actors who go like, hey, I'm going to take this material seriously and put some of myself into it and push it past what it needs to be. And, you get the good dialogue going with it, and it's a winning formula.
Well, it's because they have a good script that they can actually work with. And, for me, at least, the heart of this movie was just seeing how these characters interact with each other, which whenever you read an origin story about these teams getting together in the first place, it's like, yeah, why do I need to hang out with this guy when I'm capable of taking care of business all by myself? And that was the fun that was like probably the best part of this movie, was the dynamic between each character, because this movie's about 2.5 hours long.
Is it?
And yeah,
it didn't feel like it.
And the thing is that they gave you so much as far as like having each one of these characters interact with each other, where it's like, man, I'm curious how Thor's going to act around Hulk. And boy, do you see it. I mean, and it is something to fucking see. And, but that's the great thing about it, because there's plenty of room in this movie where these characters are able to actually breathe. And so you get some character out of them. But saying that, though, as much as, I agree with you guys, Loki, the guy playing him looked like he was having a blast. But as far as like the villain of this movie, I really thought that was the only kind of weakness that I had with it, to where I'm like, I like Loki, but as soon as they bring in the alien forces that are pretty much, the droids from episode 1 Phantom Menace, I was like, I wish there was a little bit more to these villains to really make me feel invested in this battle that they're having, besides it just being like probably one of the coolest fucking Avengers video games I've ever experienced on the screen. But saying that, though, the rest of the movie, though, when you really think about the movie as a whole, it doesn't really seem to be about the villains, even though they're just an obstacle. And I can kind of forgive that. But for this movie to be really perfect for me, I wish they got a stronger villain.
I agree with you on the villains, man. Because except on one thing, we were laughing about this. The aliens in the movie, the leading aliens, they're nothing but the Emperor, ripped straight out of Star.
Oh yeah.
Humans, you will scream when we defeat you.
You're right. No, there is an absolute Phantom Menace.
They're so evil. One of them he snarls so much he's got gingivitis. His gums are bleeding. You see that guy?
I'll go you one better to say, like, the first 20 or 30 minutes of this movie, I wasn't all that into it. I was just like, between those snarling, villains that were too much, and just everything, it's like, well, it's really bantery, but not a whole lot's happening here.
I tell you what I like.
I like what they were saying back and forth. They're joking, but I'm like, is this ever going to pick up?
But what I was going to say was, those villains. This is why I feel this way about Tom Hiddleston, because he's his name, right? Because
that's his name.
No, you got it. If you got it wrong, I'll let you know.
I know I'm a villain myself. I'm the name.
Say Tesseract.
Yeah, no, I would not say that. I'm the name fucker upper.
If he says that, some glasses are going to start growing out of his head, and he's going to have the biggest nerd glasses on ever.
I can't never let that happen. No, Tom Hiddleston, I enjoyed him because of those villains, man. I didn't think he would work, but what made me like him is that he's just a punk, man. He's just a punk. Yeah. He's the kind of guy you cannot be nice to. He's that guy who was cool. Everybody loved hanging around with him. And then one day he found out he was adopted. And forget the fact that he was raised in a mansion and his mom and daddy got him everything he wanted.
Spoiled brat.
He's still a bitch. Nobody can be nice to him.
He's still lugging his Motley Crue albums around.
There were so many times that Thor pulled him aside and said, man, look, I'm your brother. Please stop. Just stop, man. Let's be cool. He's like, no.
Fuck, man. And that is him in the comics. That is Loki. That's total. That's probably him in Norse mythology, for that matter.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, I don't have the same problem you did with the aliens, because they're not really the villain. They're just an extension of Loki's will, really. That's just him revealing his big trap. I mean, I never thought of those guys as even being a villain, really.
They were just something that had to be taken care of.
Yeah, exactly. They were like the they were
smashed.
his final plan coming to fruition, but they were really just an extension of him. And Loki is a fantastic villain in this. So
I agree with you,
I
man.
don't think there was any weakness on that front. I mean, that the guy they show for like maybe 30 seconds of the film is off. Yeah, that guy is actually kind of a joke anyway. In the long run,
I kept thinking of Mumra from
I know, right?
the Thundercat.
They should have just gave him like that big ass twirly mustache with the black top hat, because at least I know who that guy is. With these Marvel characters, sometimes I'm like, okay, I've read these comics, I've seen that guy, but I don't know who the fuck he is. I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
I'm like, ugh. But that's always been my problem with Marvel and their villains. Marvel, I always thought they had the weakest villains of all.
I just agree with you on that. I thought he was. They wrote his manipulation very well.
Yeah, I thought
because they
so,
would
too.
start arguing, and you like, man, why are they arguing with each other? Just calm down. And then they cut to Loki. He's back there smiling like, oh, this asshole. Okay.
Well, I love that throughout the whole movie, Loki will be like being a badass, bow before me, and an Avenger comes along and goes, shut up, and punches him down. So he just gets his ass punked so many times.
You know what the
It's
thing
awesome.
is? Maybe he wasn't that formidable of a villain, because I still sympathize with the guy, especially with Thor, where I'm like, man, he's not all that bad. He just doesn't know what the fuck he's doing.
No,
you know?
he's bad.
He's still confused. He still has daddy issues. So, but I never looked at him as a bad guy. I'm like, he's playing the role as the bad guy, but is his heart really into it all that much?
It's funny. I felt that way in Thor, where I was like, you know what? They wrote such a good villain that I do sympathize with him. I see where he's coming from. He just seems a bit misguided. And here, even though he played that some, I'm with Corey, where it's like, no, man.
No,
you have. There's a clear point where you can turn this around and not be that way. And Thor should just really beat your ass with the hammer.
I was
He's trying to go
upset
like,
at Thor.
look, please, just stop. Let's hug it out.
It's like if a kid, his adopted father said, "Happy birthday, son. Here's a Corvette," and his son just turned around, kicked him in the nuts. You know what I mean? It's just the guy's just.
I told you I wanted a BMW, Dad.
Well, then hell.
Fuck.
Well, then you know what? Then Marvel needs to like get every fucking chick from My Sweet 16 and then fucking make them villains.
That's what he
you
is.
know?
He's a drama queen, man. It's an iPod 2. I want an iPad 3. God damn it, you fucking assholes. Hate you,
You're
mom
so
and dad.
stupid.
Yeah, want a horse. God damn it.
The thing we haven't really talked about here is one of the things people are nervous about, which is changing the role of who's playing Bruce Banner, the Incredible Hulk, because of course it was Ed Norton in the film.
I thought Ruffalo was okay, but I was still missing Ed Norton in the early scenes. I was
What'd
like,
you think, Cyrus?
I think Ed Norton did such a good job in the last movie that everyone came together and said, "Wow, you actually found a depth to that character and sold it along with the great action." Ruffalo finds a different angle with it here, and I enjoyed it just as much. I really did. The one thing that's really different is that he is the first guy ever to actually act the Hulk as well. Like he did full on the facial expressions and everything. Like Ed Norton wouldn't do that shit. He's like, I ain't putting on that ball.
Which is why, I mean, you know what? He honestly made me forget about Edward Norton. As much as I'm a fan of Edward Norton, and I thought the last Hulk with him was like good. It was better than obviously better than the last. But I thought this guy actually brought much more to the table, especially seeing him interact with Robert Downey Jr. Just seeing him as just working with the team, talking to those guys. Never for a moment did I miss Edward Norton.
And it was clever writing having his character be the most likable in terms of how he got along with everybody else.
Right.
Like, because a lot of times you see him as nothing but just almost scared or just kind of irritating almost. And here they made him where he really is a great guy. And all the Avengers are fighting with each other, but they all get along with him. And so you know that sooner or later, and he knows that he's going to turn big and green and beat the shit out of everyone within the vicinity.
that's why he can stay calm and smile. Exactly. Like, well,
I tell you,
y'all can only fuck with me to a point.
Yeah, everybody's nice to him. I mean, because
He's
why?
so,
Yeah, he's
everybody except for Tony Stark who's keep fucking with him because he's Tony Stark.
I know. I mean,
fucks
shit,
with everybody in that
Yeah,
movie.
well, better be glad I wasn't there, because if I would have been there, I would have been telling Bruce Banner, "Hey, man, you know what them dudes said about your mama?" What?
Everybody tends to go down when Hulk comes out, regardless of who he's mad at.
And one of the things that works is that the way the writing is on Tony Stark, it's the same as it is in the other Iron Man movies. Like it doesn't drop just because there's a new writer. And Thor and Captain America are the same. You like that home feeling. Bruce Banner, a different take that works really well. And Black Widow, when in Iron Man 2, she was just kind of nothing. I was like, what was even the point of that? But here, okay, you acknowledge her Russian roots and actually give her a backstory, make her one of the most interesting characters in the whole piece. So I was like, bravo. It's almost like for a while it was her movie, and then it was the Hulk's movie. It's like it's almost like it's a third Hulk movie, like a third completely new take on the Hulk.
It's a great Hulk
finally
movie.
somebody understood it and got it right.
It's a great Hulk
with
movie,
Black
yeah.
Widow, they kind of like her and Hawkeye. There's all this insinuation that they have this amazing, in-depth spy past, which of course they do.
Yeah.
But it gives you just enough to be intrigued, and they show it pay off just a few times in ways that you're like, nice.
Yeah.
And not just through violence either, through
No,
her
no.
being like just really cold-blooded and brilliantly smart. And you're like, yeah, fucking awesome.
No, if I can do just a quick rundown of what they did right with these characters, man.
We don't have all night.
Page 1. Page 2. Bruce Banner. No, I was just gonna say we have all these characters returning except for Ed Norton. Chris Evans, I think, has grown into being Steve Rogers, not even Captain America. He is Steve Rogers. He's the guy who is the Boy Scout of the troop. He's following orders. He's
a soldier.
He's telling everybody what to do, and everybody doesn't like it because he's a goody-goody. But you look at him and it's like, man, with Chris Evans, his origin movie where that's where he wasn't sure. In this movie, he is take charge. I would say that what's his name, Chris Hemsworth as Thor. Even though I'm mad at him for not slapping the shit out of Loki, I think that guy's grown to that character because he is conflicted between, this is my brother, I feel like I have to take care of him, he's from my home, but at the same time, these Earth people, this is my new home, I like these guys, and I just thought they added depth to that character. Black Widow, man, it was so cool to see what she could actually do now. You get to see her go in and actually do interrogations, and you feel like, man, she got me too with that. I was sitting up there taking out my driver's license and giving her, I mean, it's amazing to see how this character works. I mean, yeah, you get more depth there. I think they didn't do a whole lot with Hawkeye because I'm not going to say what they do in the movie, but he spends a lot of time as something else instead of Hawkeye. So I don't think he had a chance to really do that much. That's the character I was disappointed in. But Mark Ruffalo?
Well, I was going to say, though, real quick on Hawkeye.
Go ahead. What's up?
You do actually get to see him as a total badass and at length, which
you
is
do.
really the one thing that was everyone's like, come on, really? And you're like, oh,
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he actually is kind
No,
of
you're right. You get to see his mutant power. I mean, everybody gets that chance to be a cool CG character in this. So, I mean, he does too. I'm just saying, out of all the characters that have depth, I don't think he does. But man, you're right about Mark Ruffalo. I think Mark Ruffalo, Ed Norton, I wish they could have kept him for consistency, but I'm like you, man. Once I saw Mark Ruffalo, I thought, man, maybe it's because he's dealing with these other people, because he's the nerd among the jocks.
He really is. No,
he doesn't know where he fits in, except and they also showed you a side of him where he really is pissed, man. He does have anger management issues, and he is kind of scary if you bug him. But Mark Ruffalo, I just think his face was better suited for the Hulk. I mean, if you look at Mark Ruffalo, he has a Hulk face. So, and when the Hulk turns into the Hulk, that was great. In the Hulk, man, they finally got the model of the Hulk right.
Yeah.
The Hulk, I always thought the Hulk should be ape-like, and the Hulk shouldn't be. In the Ed Norton movie, they gave him like a 20-pack of abs. And this one, he seems in proportion to something that is just grotesquely huge, and I thought that they got the Hulk right out of all the movies now.
Hulk needed a movie like this just to balance out who he is. He's more fascinating when he actually has to work with other characters, like other heroes, and have them interact with him.
Well, you get to see him be a force of nature, because what he's doing is you get to see him actually go, like he doesn't care who's around. He's like, I'm pissed, and if you were here, if you were next to me, guess what? I'm whooping your ass. I don't give a fuck who you are. You were my friend when I was Bruce Banner. I don't know you as the Hulk.
You shouldn't have been around.
It's
I don't know
they
you
say
shit.
In the Ultimates, it's like, when the fuck are you crazy? You're working with the Hulk? It's like, yeah, we just point him at something. It's like sometimes there's shit that no one else can handle.
He's a
but the
wild
Hulk
dog.
can handle.
Oh yeah, no, he's a wild dog. Like let loose on a leash, man. They just put that leash in that direction and hide.
He's the Avengers pit bull. That's very much what he's like.
It also was in the other movies, he was kind of like a dumb, almost kind of sad brute. And here, he's a beast, but he's kind of an asshole too.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
he does some shit. You're like, man, you did that on purpose. That's fucked up.
Yeah, come on, man. You know that was wrong.
I will
Of the
say
Thor character.
my 3 favorite moments in this film, none of which I can say out loud in this review, but are all Hulk moments.
Sure.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
you know, that where I was like laughing and clapping and going, okay, that was fucking awesome.
Yeah, and that's what that's the cool thing that I really appreciate about this movie as far as the writing, because you're right. I mean, they really did flesh out other characters to where I'm like, wow, you know, for you as Black Widow, as far as interesting, Leon, for me, I thought it was Captain America, where I'm like, you know, despite the fact that he is running around in his pajamas,
It's a
you know,
Halloween costume.
and they actually, yeah, it's like he's running around in his pajamas. I'm like, you know what, his personality and what he stands for and what he's about, and him kind of, you see him becoming the leader of the Avengers.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, you know, they really did a great job with really fleshing all that out, and especially, you know, just the whole idea. I love that with this character. You know, they brought back ideas of like, you know, costume heroes doing their thing. You know, the people in these days, and do we really need that? Are they like going to be looked at as a joke now? And I love that, you know, this movie brought out issues of the whole idea of being a hero and doing these, like, dressing up in a ridiculous costume, doing these amazing things.
Yeah.
Like, what does it mean? Not so much what does it mean to you, but what does it mean to other people?
Yeah.
You know, and I love that.
They do a great job with the Captain America as well, of showing really what his strength is in the books as well, that he's the one who understands teamwork and brings all these guys who aren't, even when they're kind of mad at each other, and goes, this is where you need to be, this is where you need to be, and this is where you need to be.
Yeah.
Everybody break and go.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and
Don't
they
ask
show that,
questions.
yeah, nobody else can do that, really. He's the guy. That is his
Yeah.
job, and he's goddamn good at it.
Y'all don't get mad.
Get it
I'm
out.
not even talking about y'all. Y'all out there think I'm sitting up here just nitpicking. Y'all got to agree with me. In the movie, when the Avengers assemble and they get ready to go fight, everybody looks like they going to war, like they going to kick ass. Except for Captain America. He's the one that looks like he's going to a kid's birthday party. I'm like, man, that suit, I don't know what it is. I really want that to work because he's one of my favorite characters in the movie. I love Steve Rogers in the movie, but that suit, boy.
They did not nail the suit. But
No.
I think
It's
that-
funny. It didn't bother me as much watching the movie
No.
as I expected it to, but maybe because it bugged me so much up until that point that I just
you know,
gave up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
it-
that at that point, it's such an iconic moment that you're like, oh, I don't care. It's still Captain America. It's not horrible.
I have to say, when he was in action, the suit didn't matter. He was cool, except when he was just chilling out or walking down the street. It was almost like that dance club you looking for is down the street. Oh, but get into your time machine first. Go back to the 80s.
Right, yeah.
Like, man.
And you could tell, and you could tell that was an issue because I don't know how many scenes there were where it's like it seemed like Josh Whedon was really trying to get him the fuck out of that suit because I mean I don't know how many times like he's not wearing the hoodie, he's not
Yeah.
wearing the helmet.
Yeah.
You know,
That's an actor thing, too.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden he's not wearing the star, the stripes, where he's just wearing like his Superman's
His
blue t-shirt.
underoos.
Yeah, his underoos, where it's like, wow, just fucking get him another suit, man.
I mean,
I
you
have
know,
a feeling they will in the next movie.
Yeah.
we got you a new uniform. Oh yeah, because my Owen wasn't gay enough.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know.
This one has fringe.
I mean, it really did look like that boy's mama put that suit together. I mean,
It did.
Come here, baby.
I'm like-
Mama worked all night
I was
on
like,
this.
I was like, wow,
Thanks, Mama.
Shield couldn't afford to get him like a decent helmet. They actually went to Walmart and picked
I know.
up the little kid Captain America
It does look
fucking
just
helmet.
like-
when I was a kid, we had a friend whose mother just did not get him a costume, and we all had our tight ass cool costumes for Halloween, and he had to get his. He had to make his at the last minute, and he had to walk down the street with that shitty ass costume, and that's what I felt about Captain America. I'm like, damn, your mama made your Halloween costume at the last minute.
No.
That
She
little-
bought
that little boy was you. Wasn't
No,
he?
yeah. She bought that shit at the grocery store with the vinyl, the vinyl thing, the big plastic thing, and the vinyl running around. I was like, man, we can hear you coming a mile away, Captain America.
Captain America's just got a shirt that just has a picture of him as Captain
Yeah.
America. It says Captain America.
Is that you, man?
I know.
Yeah, man. Well, you know, I'm gonna leave Captain America alone because he was badass in the movie. But I want to
Yeah.
bring up one thing, Ray, and I want to switch gears real quick because I just want to say it was also cool to see the inner workings of S.H.I.E.L.D., it did them actually, what they do behind the scenes. And I finally got to see Nick Fury do something kind of cool. He got to fire off a bullet.
Yeah, I know.
Too, you know. I mean, it was fun to get to see, it was good to see him in action, and it was good to see Samuel Jackson bring some of Samuel Jackson in as Nick Fury. There's a point where he tells somebody, he just says, "Fuck trying to be Nick Fury." Hey, that's some stupid ass shit right there. Okay, God damn it, I'm not even trying to be professional now.
They brought a little bit of the street to Nick Fury,
exactly.
which is what he needed. Yeah,
It's a great moment finally seeing the helicarrier take off. I mean, that's there's quite a few really iconic moments for Avengers fans that your heart's going to skip a beat and you're going to go, oh man, I can't believe I'm actually seeing this on screen, and it's awesome. And the helicarrier taking off from the ocean is one of those moments.
Yeah, it's its own character in the movie, which is kind of
I don't know.
amazing, too.
This movie made me question the whole logistics of even having a helicarrier.
Yeah, you can't.
I don't know if this is the smartest vehicle.
You
for
can't
guys
help
to
but
fly
think
around
that.
in.
Yeah, at least they got that out of the way. Where it's like, no, it's not
Well,
smart.
they actually, Whedon's smart enough to even address that. Like with Bruce Banner going, like he thinks it's a submarine. So he goes, "Are you guys seriously going to put me in an underwater submersible like giant thing? That's really stupid." And then he sees it's actually going to fly, and he goes, "Wow, that is even dumber."
Shit, you want me to get on that dumb piece of shit? Okay. But skirt. What I want to do here now is I done sat up here and I praised this movie to death. I've had my penis out and pleasured myself to it and all kind of stuff.
Oh,
and
for
now,
Christ's sake!
Yeah.
Now you just took the The evening's ruined.
You know what?
Thanks,
Maybe I
Mike.
won't go see it again.
Yeah.
Really? No, that's funny because now you're gonna be watching it, and every now and then you're gonna see me in the background, my penis in my head. Hey,
Inextricably linked
And in
with
the
your
background, you'd probably be
penis.
sitting behind me doing it.
hey, Leah, how you doing? Hey, watch your head.
My head wet.
Hey, but when's the last time you see something about marriage?
Leon, I think you left a glop of Afro sheen in your head.
Yeah, let me rub it in. See, it's better. Ching ching hair is hard. But here's the thing, man. These are some complaints I have about the movie. The movie works to me better almost as a comedy. Joss Whedon, who and I didn't know this. I heard you guys talking about it. Zach Penn and Josh Whedon wrote the story, but Josh see, I knew I told you I was gonna fuck up a name before. So boo ha 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 ha. The name fuck up and struck again. No, Josh, two S's. No, Josh Whedon. He was responsible for the script, right?
Yeah,
Right.
the screenplay.
He was a
And the
screenplay.
story was by him and Zach Penn. I
Yeah.
believe,
So I guess anybody who's a fan of Joss Whedon knows he has a great sense of humor, and this movie has so many scenes where you just laugh, man. I mean, I was giddy from some of the jokes they had in there. Which the flip side of that is that I hardly felt any high emotion for anything. I loved when the characters were getting together. I was on top of the world seeing how they were forming as a team. But as far as having any concern or feeling any kind of danger or feeling any sadness for anything, it really wasn't there for me. Like I said, it's a fun, almost comedic action movie because these guys are gonna come out on top anyway. And the heart is seeing them get together. But as far as danger, none really there for me.
Well, they weren't. I don't feel like they were trying but so hard to create it as a drama. They wanted to make the audience experience awe, like shock and awe. And I think that they nailed it on that as much as you can. I mean, honestly, if you look at it and you go, there's enough story where all the characters feel pretty real for superhero characters, even the new people. They're pretty fleshed out. You get all of that. You really know who these people are, what their motivations are. I'm not that upset that there wasn't a bunch of deep drama underneath all that. I mean, even what there was with them fighting was kind of manipulated, and it's all part of like a very plot-driven movie. I don't think that's a mark against it.
Once they start really delving into the Black Widow, developing her character, showing you, how important she was, how cool she was, and especially at the point when everybody's in the room and that argument, the way it starts, like a genuine, like everybody's getting along, it's a little tense. And then heating up a little bit and then saying something like, oh, you should take that back until you realize what's going on. I'm like, this is the shit that I love. I mean, it was a lot more adult and psychological. And I'm like, man, okay, you guys got me now. You really do feel it. Mm-hmm. And that whole second act, it was like one of the best second acts I've ever seen. Third act, where it goes ape shit with the action, the stuff that I thought they weren't pulling off in the beginning. I was like, God damn, you know what? Normally, I know people say like, oh, the 10-year-old in me is going to love this. And I'm like, you know what? The 10-year-old in me has had plenty of enjoyment. I don't want to nourish that so much. But by that time, I'm like, all right.
I was about to say.
You gave me everything I wanted. You gave me the adult me and the young.
Nigga, I done seen,
10-year-old.
I done seen little Leon so much. Don't you act like that 10-year-old is gone now.
Was there ever a little Leon? That's what I want.
10-year-old was sitting right next to the 42-year-old, looking at each other, going, "Yeah,
Yeah.
this is the shit."
Well, you know what else?
You are right. I mean,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
I can't really think of how you could do this any better, especially with the villains and the characters that you have on the table.
The moment the Hulk threw that first punch, that's when the movie kicked in. It was something about that when the Hulk lost his shit.
Oh, yeah.
The movie did not stop. It was almost like the Joss Whedon was running. He's like,
While he's running
while he's trying to film and everything. Yeah, it was crazy. This movie, out of everything that we said here, I mean, my complaints are small. This is, if nothing else, this movie is just Marvel's greatest fights. You get to see that team up. You get to see Hulk fight Thor. You get to see Thor fight Iron Man. I mean, all that stuff right there. If that stuff doesn't on that level alone, it's an entertaining movie. And as I said, with everything that we said leading up to this, with that whole almost 30-minute long section of praise, this is a full price movie. I said this about Thor last summer when it came out. I'm gonna say it about this movie right here. This is the movie that I'm like you, Leon. This is the kind of blockbuster that I remember as a kid that I would go and see, and whatever fantasy element in there that didn't make sense to me as an adult, I don't give a shit now. It works fine in this world. Yeah, this is just a great time at the theater.
It hits on all the points you want. I mean, I don't think there's anybody who can come into this and walk away and say that they didn't get what they were looking for, because it really does serve all interests, and it pulls everything together. And yeah, there's no reason to go on praising it even more than we have already. Just to say that, man, I can't imagine a more entertaining movie. I mean, I've never seen such a fantastic balance of juggling characters where you got such a good feel for all of them. It's everything, yeah, I could want in a summer movie. It's a high full price.
I'm with you guys. I mean, yeah, I don't know how much more we can praise this. It's. I think it's everything a comic book fan of the Avengers or just the Marvel universe. It's everything that they've wanted, and it's been delivered. I will go by and just say that it has been delivered, and it's gonna be one of those movies that actually has now set the bar for other like superhero team ups. I mean, DC is going to have to pay attention to this if they ever plan to do a Justice League movie, just to see how to do it right, you know. And I'm really curious now. It's like, you know, with this movie now, as much as I loved it, I'm like, wow, you know, you guys better hurry the fuck up and do the next Avengers movie before these guys get too goddamn old. Because all I thought about after the movie is like, wow, I know Captain America needs another, 2 more movies. Iron Man's going to do 1 more. Thor, God knows that. I'm like, wow, when are they going to actually get back to the movie now that everyone really wants to see? It's like, you know, you can't really like cock tease anymore, you know, with an Avengers movie now. It's like, we've seen the Avengers and we want more of it. I don't know if I really need to see another Thor or another Captain America movie. Just like fucking just do what you need to do. Make an Avengers Part 2 and leave it at that.
Good point.
But, you know, I was looking for every moment to like see where they fuck up, and they really didn't. It was really charming. All the characters together, all the actors really pulled it off. I mean, they really did take the subject matter serious, and they pulled it off. And Mark Ruffalo, hey man, I know you're probably worried. There's no need to be worried anymore. You know, people are gonna fucking dig you. So
he asked me, what would you think about it?
Oh, I thought he's fucking great. Tell him he did a kick-ass job. Yeah, full price.
You know, I think the thing that's most amazing about this is that, well, as Leon challenged early on, that it happened at all.
Yeah.
That they even got to this point. That Marvel made a whole series of films leading up to it that, with, you know, the middle exception of Iron Man 2, all really worked pretty well, I thought. And just built in anticipation, and then had the final payoff be much more than you could have thought it was. I mean, it was a huge challenge to make this movie work, and indeed the process leading up to it. And I felt, you know, I mean, obviously I'm a big Joss Whedon fanboy, but I felt strongly he was the man to do the job, and I think he proved unquestionably that was absolutely a correct decision to get him for this. Everything came together just right for me. I have tiny nitpicks, and that's about it. You know, I keep thinking, well, what didn't I like? It's like, oh, there was a handheld fighting scene or two that I thought was filmed too close. Shut up, Cyrus.
Yeah, shut up.
Yeah. You know, but that's so minor, and it's just over in a flash before something else awesome happens. This is everything I've been waiting for with the Avengers film. It's everything I wanted, and I think that there's very few things that are actually better than sex. And one of them is sex with someone you love. And I fucking loved this movie. This was better than sex.
Damn.
Well, for you, that's not,
Wow.
yeah, no, but that for you, that's not too hard. We believe it.
It's the only
Not too
sex
hard
you will
now.
have.
I came like 6 times watching it.
I know there were kids in front of you. Like, man, you came out like
I know.
I came
I know,
six
I know.
times in the movie, and you see a mother rushing a kid off.
I thought
know what that meant.
I thought that was Spider-Man shooting his webs at
No,
me.
the kid was like, "Where did he come from, mommy?" But, I forgot to mention this. I love that they had that scene in the movie. I'm not going to give too much detail, but where you actually see, it's almost like a reality TV show where they are bickering with each other. I mean, they're not fighting physically, they're not slapping each other around. They are actually arguing with each other, and it's intense. It actually, that scene right there, I felt like I was in a family fight.
You know, that's funny because I felt that way too. Like I felt genuine tension and wanted to come in and go like, "You guys, stop
have
fighting."
you ever been over to a friend's house and the family starts fighting and you just sitting there like, I gotta go. Shut up! No, Corey, you stay here. You ain't gotta go home. You my friend.
To be honest, most of the time I enjoy those.
Of
I hold
course
myself
you
from
do.
laughing.
And you know what? I just thought it was like Jersey Shore with the Avengers. That's kind of how it felt to me.
Big Brothers next
Jersey Shore all
season.
douchebags.
I expect,
you hope they kill each other.
You expected like somebody like Loki to be like the drama queen. Who's been using my towels again?
He's Snooky.
No, that's the Incredible Snook.
You got Tony Stark and Black Widow riding balls on Bruce
Yeah,
Banner's
I
head
know.
and while he's sleeping, trying to run out before he turns to the Hulk.
Hey, Tony Stark is always a situation.
This is nothing we were ever trained for.
Guys, I'm bringing the party to you.